And talking about LA, we need kindness in this world.
Oh my God.
And talking about
Billionaire Richard Branson reportedly spent $5 million to fly tennis star Alex Ella to his birthday party, where her speech left him in tears. Tennis lovers, music scandal chasers, and anyone fascinated by the wild intersection of sports and extreme luxury, get ready. This story is as extravagant as it is emotional. Welcome back to Cortiva Tennis, your ultimate source for the juiciest, most explosive stories from the tennis world and beyond. If you thought you'd seen it all, buckle up. This tale is so over the top it almost sounds fictional, yet every word is true. We're talking about Sir Richard Branson, the British billionaire who built an empire with Virgin Records, Virgin Atlantic, and even Virgin Galactic, the man whose life of ambition and adventure continues to astonish. Richard Branson, the daredevil billionaire who literally went to space for fun and survived multiple hot air balloon crashes. Music continues to treat life like one giant adventure. Worth an estimated $9 billion, Branson didn't just throw a birthday party for his 76th birthday. He orchestrated what might be the most expensive and emotionally devastating celebrity appearance in tennis history. At the center of this unbelievable story is Alexandra Ella, the golden girl of Philippine tennis, newly crowned Southeast Asian Games champion, and apparently the only person capable of making a hardened billionaire weep in front of the world's elite. Music. Branson reportedly spent $5 million to fly Ella in via private jets worth more than most people's houses. Music. Booked a suite at the Ritz London that redefines as luxury, and witnessed a birthday speech so powerful it brought one of the world's toughest entrepreneurs to his knees. Music. This isn't just a tennis story, it's a cultural moment. A collision of old money, new talent, and raw human emotion. The night a 20-year-old tennis player from Quezon City moved a 76-year-old billionaire to tears may well mark the start of something monumental for Asian tennis. Music. And it all began with a number most of us can barely comprehend. $5 million. That's not a Grand Slam prize or an endorsement deal. That's what Branson reportedly spent just to have Alex Ella as his personal guest of honor in the English countryside. $5 million. For a birthday guest. To put that into perspective, that's more than most WTA players earn in their entire careers. It's more than the winner of the French Open takes home. It's enough to buy a mansion in Beverly Hills. And Richard Branson spent it all for one night. For one person. But don't mistake this for the reckless impulse of an eccentric billionaire. Richard Branson doesn't move without intention. This wasn't about excess, it was about recognition, admiration, and possibly the opening move in a partnership that could fundamentally change Alex Ella's career. Sources close to the Virgin Empire say Branson has quietly followed Ella's rise for years. But what truly captured his attention was her performance at the 33rd Southeast Asian Games in Bangkok. That was the moment. Watching her carry the weight of a nation's expectations. Competing in suffocating heat. Battling pressure that would crush most athletes. And then, finally, delivering. Ending a 26-year gold medal drought for the Philippines. That story struck a nerve. Because Branson understands that kind of fight. This is a man who built an empire by defying odds, launching Virgin Records out of a church basement, challenging airline giants with Virgin Atlantic, and later aiming for the stars with Virgin Galactic. His entire life has been about backing bold people with impossible dreams. And in Alex Ella, he reportedly saw something familiar. Challenger. Risk-taker. Someone unafraid to carry expectations and still swing freely. That's not just a tennis player. That's a story Branson has spent his entire life betting on. When everyone said it would fail. After crashes, setbacks, and near disasters, only to come back stronger every single time. Richard Branson has burned, crashed, and risen from the ashes more times than anyone can count. And in Alex Ella, he reportedly saw the same fire, the same refusal to accept limits. So when Branson's birthday planners asked what he wanted for his 76th celebration, his response was simple. Get me the girl who won gold in Bangkok. She's the spirit of the future. And when Richard Branson wants something, Money is no object. The extravagance began long before the party ever started. Ela didn't book a commercial flight to London. According to reports, a customized Gulfstream G650ER, one of the fastest and most luxurious private jets on the planet, was chartered specifically for her journey from Manila. This flying palace cruises at 51,000 feet, has a range of over 7,000 nautical miles, and carries a price tag of roughly $70 million. On board, reportedly stocked with her favorite Filipino comfort foods, custom Virgin-branded tennis gear, and a handwritten welcome letter from Sir Richard himself, on Virgin Galactic stationery. Imagine that for a moment. You're 20 years old, sitting inside a jet worth more than most people's net worth combined, reading a personal note from a billionaire praising your resilience, your courage, and your fighting spirit. Moments like that don't just flatter you, they redefine what feels possible. And for Alex Ela, the long journey from Manila to London wasn't just a flight. It was a signal, an arrival, a reminder that her story had already grown bigger than tennis. And the night waiting for her in the English countryside, that was only just beginning. Under normal circumstances, the trip from Manila to London takes 16 to 18 exhausting hours. But this was anything but normal. Under normal circumstances, traveling from Manila to London takes at least 16 to 18 hours, usually with a layover. But for Alex Ela, time and inconvenience simply disappeared. Reclined in a buttersoft leather seat at 45,000 feet, sipping chamomile tea and gazing through floor-to-ceiling windows, she traveled like a head of state, moving through the world untouched by the chaos most people endure. Upon landing at a private airfield in Luton, a convoy of blacked-out Range Rovers was waiting. No customs lines, no baggage claim, just frictionless luxury as she and her team were whisked straight into the heart of London. And where does a billionaire house his most prized birthday guest? The Ritz London, of course, but not just any room. According to reports, Ela stayed in one of the hotel's most prestigious royal suites, likely the Prince of Wales suite, a sprawling 2,000-square-foot masterpiece of Louis XVI design overlooking Green Park, a space that has hosted royalty and Hollywood legends alike. Nightly rates range from £5,000 to £10,000. Branson reportedly booked it for an entire week. The suite features a formal dining room for 10, a master bedroom with a bed so plush it feels like sleeping on clouds, bathrooms wrapped in rare Italian marble, and service so discreet and flawless it rivals the private jet that brought her there. But the VIP treatment didn't stop at accommodations. Ela's reported package included a personal stylist to ensure she looked flawless for every appearance, a 24-hour concierge ready to fulfill any request, and access to some of London's most exclusive experiences, the kind money alone usually can't buy. This wasn't indulgence. It was intention. Branson was making a statement. Alex Ela wasn't just another athlete flown in for a photo op. She was being treated like visiting royalty, a head of state, someone whose presence elevated the entire event. Everyone in Branson's inner circle understood exactly what that meant. And then came the main event, Richard Branson's 76th birthday party, hosted at a private, heavily guarded estate in the English countryside. The theme was reportedly Tropical Wimbledon, a fusion of Branson's love for his Caribbean island lifestyle and his lifelong obsession with tennis. The decor was breathtaking, lush tropical greenery mixed with the crisp elegance of tennis whites, polished grass court aesthetics, and championship trophies displayed like museum pieces. And the guest list: unreal. Silicon Valley tech billionaires, Hollywood A-listers, tennis legends who shaped the sport, British aristocracy and business titans whose combined net worth could bankroll a small nation. This wasn't just a birthday party. It was a gathering of the people who actually run the world. And then Alex Ela walked in. The atmosphere, already electric from vintage Dom Perignon and soft island jazz melodies, shifted instantly. Because the guest of honor had arrived. The live band, midway through a mix of classic rock and modern hits, suddenly went still. Alex Ela had entered the room. She appeared in a stunning, custom-designed evening gown that seamlessly fused traditional Filipiniana elements with cutting-edge haute couture, a sartorial statement that honored her heritage while radiating international sophistication. She didn't look nervous. She didn't look out of place. She walked in like she belonged, like someone who had earned her right to stand among billionaires, legends, and power brokers. Her confidence was magnetic. Richard Branson, famous for his laid-back, egalitarian charm, literally stopped the music. The entire party paused. He bypassed dignitaries and celebrities competing for his attention and crossed the room to greet her personally. Witnesses later said they had never seen him so genuinely starstruck. In that moment, everything else faded. The extravagance, the guest list, even the champagne. The 76-year-old billionaire who had been to space looked at a 20-year-old tennis phenom from the Philippines with something close to awe. It was a surreal reversal of expectations, and it set the tone for the entire night. The evening continued with extraordinary food, world-class entertainment, and networking opportunities most people could only dream of. But the moment everyone still talks about came during the cake-cutting ceremony. Breaking every traditional protocol, Branson insisted that Alex Ela join him to cut the massive, tennis court-shaped birthday cake. As cameras flashed and a room full of billionaires and icons applauded, the symbolism was impossible to miss. The old guard of global business sharing the spotlight with the next generation of global sport. A quiet passing of the torch. A recognition that the future belongs to fighters, to those who refuse to accept the limits placed on them. And then came the speech. Alex was handed the microphone. Most expected a brief thank you. A polite acknowledgement of the honor. What followed was something else entirely. A masterclass in vulnerability, in courage, in emotional intelligence. According to multiple sources, she didn't speak from triumph. She spoke from fear. She talked about the crushing weight of expectations during the Southeast Asian Games. About carrying a nation's hopes while trying to end a 26-year gold medal drought. About competing under suffocating heat and pressure, knowing that one mistake could define a generation. She spoke about the loneliness of the professional tennis tour, the endless flights, the injuries, the self-doubt that creeps in at 2 a.m. in anonymous hotel rooms where nobody knows your name. She made herself completely vulnerable in front of the world's most powerful people. And in doing so, she connected with them. Then she pivoted. She turned her focus to Richard Branson himself. She drew parallels between their journeys. How he launched Virgin Records from a literal basement, faced repeated failures, survived near-death hot air balloon accidents, and still chose to push forward relentlessly. She told him that his life had taught her something fundamental. That barriers aren't real. They're illusions waiting to be shattered. And then she delivered the line that broke him. Sir Richard, you taught the world that the sky is not the limit. You showed a young girl from the Philippines, holding a racket and dreaming of gold, that barriers are just illusions we haven't broken yet. You didn't just build companies. You built belief. The room fell completely silent. You could hear glasses stop clinking. Conversations dissolve. Even the band didn't dare move. And in that silence, one thing became unmistakably clear. This wasn't just a birthday party. This wasn't just a luxury spectacle. This was the moment a young athlete from Southeast Asia reminded the most powerful people on earth why belief still matters, and why the future doesn't belong to money or status. It belongs to those brave enough to dream past every limit placed in front of them. You could have heard a pin drop. And then Sir Richard Branson, the prankster, the daredevil, the iron-willed entrepreneur who has stared down bankruptcy, crashes, and near-death experiences more times than most people face adversity in a lifetime, was openly wiping tears from his eyes. This wasn't a single, polite tear. It was genuine, uncontrolled, the kind of emotion Branson almost never shows in public. He stepped onto the stage and pulled Alex Ela into a long, heartfelt embrace, less like a billionaire greeting an honored guest, more like a father hugging a daughter. Then he took the microphone. His voice shook. I've spent millions on parties. I've traveled to space. I've done things most people only ever dream about, he said. But hearing this young champion truly understand the heart of what we do, that it's about belief, about breaking barriers, that is the best moment of my life. This is the greatest birthday gift I have ever received. The room broke. People were crying. Hardened business executives wiped their eyes. Tennis legends nodded quietly, reminded of why they fell in love with their craft in the first place. Alex Ela had done something extraordinary. She had reminded everyone in that room that beneath the money, the power, and the success lies the same human story: struggle, doubt, perseverance. And she did it with a grace, humility, and authenticity that simply can't be manufactured. Insiders say Branson saw something deeper that night. Yes, Ella represents Asia, a region he's passionate about, where Virgin has invested heavily and sees enormous future growth. But beyond markets and strategy, she embodies something far more personal. The underdog who bites back. The fighter who refuses to accept no. Her SEA Games gold medal wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. Recovering from deficits, battling brutal humidity, carrying the hopes of millions, delivering when it mattered most. That combination of grit, courage, and mental toughness is what Branson admires above all else. It's the very Virgin spirit his empire was built on. That's why he chose Alex Ela. And that's why he reportedly spent $5 million to have her there. In her, Branson sees himself. A fighter, an underdog, a relentless force. But the story doesn't end with the cake. Industry insiders are already whispering that this extravagant invitation may be only the opening move in something far bigger. Rumors of sponsorship deals. Deals that could dwarf anything outside the absolute top tier of women's tennis, are beginning to circulate. Could Alex Ela become the new face of Virgin Active across Southeast Asia? Might Branson personally sponsor her tour, removing financial pressure so she can focus entirely on training and Grand Slam preparation? Spending $5 million on a birthday guest isn't about one night. It's about laying the foundation for a partnership that could be worth tens of millions over the next decade. And then the rumors get even wilder. Multiple sources claim Branson offered Alex the opportunity to host her preseason training camp on Necker Island later this year, completely free of charge, with access to world-class coaches, physiotherapists, nutritionists, and elite training partners most players only dream of. Imagine it. Training on a private Caribbean island. Turquoise waters. Perfect weather. Zero distractions. Unlimited resources. If it happens, and if Branson becomes a fixture in her camp, it could fundamentally transform her career, giving her unprecedented backing, visibility, and opportunity. Social media has already exploded. In the Philippines, Alex Ela and Richard Branson are trending at the top of every platform, with Filipinos collectively celebrating the recognition, respect, and sheer magnitude of what this moment represents for the country's tennis legacy. One viral tweet captured it perfectly. Alex Ela winning gold was history. Alex Ela making Richard Branson cry is legendary. And that really says it all. This is bigger than sports. It's a cultural moment, proof that Asian athletes and Filipino athletes in particular belong at the same tables, commanding the same respect as anyone in the world. The international tennis community is watching closely. How would training on Necker Island affect her clay court preparation? Will Branson be sitting in her player box at Wimbledon this summer? A $9 billion entrepreneur throwing his full support behind a rising player changes everything. And for Alex Ela, this may be the moment when belief, once a quiet dream, became an unstoppable force. With Branson's backing, Ela gains something most rising players never do: freedom. Access to the best coaching minds in the sport. Entry into elite tennis networks. Introductions to sponsors who normally never return cold emails. And most importantly, the financial security to take risks, play boldly, and compete without the constant pressure that crushes so many gifted athletes before they ever break through. Right now, Alex Ela hovers in the low 100s on the WTA Tour. That alone puts her among the best tennis players on the planet. But anyone inside the sport knows the truth. The jump from top 100 to top 10 is the most brutal climb in tennis. Talent isn't enough. You need world-class coaching, full-time traveling team, carefully selected tournaments, strategic wildcards, strong relationships with tournament directors and decision-makers. All of that costs money. And influence. Success at the highest level of tennis is as much about access and credibility as it is about forehands and footwork. Those relationships usually take years, sometimes decades, to build. But when someone like Richard Branson is in your corner, doors don't open. They get blown off their hinges. Suddenly, Alex Ela isn't just another promising young player grinding through qualifiers. She's Richard Branson's player. 20-year-old who made a billionaire cry. She becomes someone tournament directors want at their events, because she brings storylines, attention, and global interest. She brings eyeballs. And here's the part few people are talking about. Richard Branson doesn't just understand business. He understands media, branding, and storytelling better than almost anyone alive. Virgin wasn't built only on smart strategy. It was built on narrative, adventure, rebellion, courage, and the refusal to accept limits. If Branson is truly invested in Ela's career, he's already thinking several moves ahead. Imagine a documentary series following Alex Ela's climb toward the top 10, produced by Virgin Media. Picture global marketing campaigns linking her underdog journey to Virgin's core identity: exploration, risk-taking, and breaking barriers. Ela wouldn't just be a tennis player. She'd become a symbol, a global ambassador, a living expression of what Virgin stands for. The potential is staggering. And anyone who knows Branson knows this. He loves long-term, high-impact partnerships that blend belief, storytelling, and legacy. If this partnership materializes, we may look back at that birthday party not as a moment of extravagance, but as the night a career, a brand, and a global story quietly took shape. Because sometimes all it takes is one person with power saying, "I believe in you." And when that person happens to be Richard Branson, belief can change everything.